Everybody get up! Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group. Just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost the sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Yo!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Blog Talk Radio.
The year, 1888. The place, London's East End. Dead and mutilated bodies are popping up all over, from Stamford to Whitechapel. Jack the Ripper is leaving his mark, and the city's on edge. Yvonne Mason is back with a tale of murder and millinery. The Rhodes Hat Factory is booming while the body count rises. Why now? How are these hats connected? Has the Hatter gone mad? Mad Hatter from Yvonne Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
Well, hello, everybody. It is Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and wherever you are, you're either an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, or maybe even 8 hours behind me or ahead of me, depending on which side of the equator you're on. This is Off the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was a shameless piece of self-promotion called The Mad Hatter, one of my historical fictions that I absolutely loved writing, and it was done by my ad man, Christopher Dunham. If any of you need ads, contact Chris. He's on my Facebook page. He also has his own radio station called Mad World Radio, and he is very reasonable. He will also play your ads on his show, which runs 24/7. So you want to connect with him because there's nothing in the world like a good ad and a good ad person. Well, and I also have to do a shout-out to Andrew Bouchard. He is an author, and he has a book called The Seduction of Anita Sarkeesian. And it goes like this. Anita Sarkeesian doesn't want you to read this book. So if you hate Anita, then why not irritate her by purchasing a copy? It's romantic, it's funny, and it's a wild ride, and you order it on Amazon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all want to shout out for your books, for your music, for your art, for your business, for your passion, for your platform, go over to advertisecast.com and look up Off the Chain. My pricing is on there. It's very reasonable. And get a 10-second shout-out. I do it for every show. Now, what is even more fun is this show is heard all over the world. On the show itself, it is heard on Australia, 66%. Now, I cannot believe that Australia is beating us by 36%. The U.S., I only have 30% listeners. It's heard in the UK, it's heard in Canada, and it's heard in Norway, just on this show. On all the podcasts, it's heard in places like Germany, Japan, New Guinea, South Africa, places I've never even heard of. So if you have a passion, if you have a book, if you have a music, if you have a piece of artwork, if you have a platform, if you have a business, this is what I do. And it costs you $0, ladies and gentlemen, just an hour and a half, an hour of your time, because I believe in paying it forward. And with that being said, today I was sent some music by a friend of mine, C.J. Plain, who also has his own show. And I grew up on blues. I'm talking about old world blues. Haven't heard it this pure in years. And when I'm tapping my foot and clapping my hands with my headphones on and my husband is looking at me like I've lost my flipping mind, you know it's good. It's the Kersey Brothers. They are going to be on my show on March the 6th, and guess where they're from? They're from down under, and they are fabulous. Look them up on YouTube, Kersey Brothers. They will make you clap and stomp, and The songs get stuck in your head and you'll love them. So I'm going to do a special show on March the 6th, which is a Monday. So put that on your calendar. Also, found a wonderful bluegrass artist, just happened to pop up on my news feed. His name's Mo Pitney. And this kid can play bluegrass like the old ones could. Little Jimmy Dickens and all of those guys. So I'm working on getting him on the show. So look him up also on YouTube. Now this morning when I did my stats, this show alone is at 3,346 listeners. With all the podcasts, we're like 600 away from 10,000 listeners. So I am very excited. So with that being said, tonight's guest is a young lady. She is an author. Her name is Vicki Goodwin. And she was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. Been there many times. She raised her children, and then she moved to Phoenix, Arizona. Now, why anybody would want to move from Birmingham, Alabama to Phoenix, Arizona is something we will have to discuss. She decided to spread her wings and start writing and learning the ins and outs of the computer industry. She participated in her first NaNoWriMo, which is a writing competition, in 2009, and that's where she wrote the first draft of her book, The Path of a Child. She found an editor, and she got published, and then she started her healing process from a very long illness. And while she was recovering, she was not able to read books, which she'd always enjoyed, and she was not able to write. So after 5 long years, she picked up a book that her sister gave her and read it in one sitting. And that happened to be while she was on the airplane flying back home. Once she read that one book, she got hooked once again. It's an addiction. We can't help it. She began to devour books, and after 6 months, she wrote her first pitiful review. Now, those are her words, her first pitiful review. She once again started enjoying writing, so she began to focus on writing the reviews and sharing them on a blog that had sat unused for 5 years. She enjoys blogging, reading, and writing and reviews daily, and she's also working on her 3rd book while her 2nd is being edited. Books are her passion, along with her family and her Australian Shepherd, Bo. Welcome, Vicki. I am so glad you were here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, paying it forward and getting y'all out there and getting y'all a reader's base and letting people around the world know how wonderful y'all are, it's important to me.
Oh, I can tell, and you do such a great job with it. You really do, and that's an outstanding number. That's outstanding numbers that you have. Those are excellent numbers.
It's because of y'all. I'm just the messenger, the facilitator. It's the guests that I have on this show because y'all are so outstanding. Well,
thank you.
Somebody that comes back from an illness to write and blog, and I don't know many people that would have done that. They would have given up. So let's just start with that. Let's start with the history of how being ill made you have that desire again.
Well, I had been sick off and on throughout my life, and I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I had periods where I was unable to function as a parent, as a wife, as a human being. And so I didn't know exactly what was wrong, but it really came to a head in about 2006. And I found that I was unable to concentrate enough to watch television or read. I just simply sat in a chair and stared, went to work and tried to do my job, and that became too hard. So I basically was just shut off from everything. And truly, books have always been so important in my life. I can remember when I read the story of Helen Keller. I was in like 3rd grade, and and her life story just touched me so much and made me thirsty to read more and more autobiographies. I loved biographies and autobiographies when I was just really in elementary school, and so I read about everybody, and took what I read to heart, and tried to take their life lessons and put them in my own life, as I grew up. And so books were just massively important to me, and I used to tell stories to my children, and we would read together, we would write stories together. It was just very important. And so then when I found I couldn't read, it really hurt. It really was hard to even admit to anybody that I could not sit down and read a book, and writing was beyond me. I couldn't concentrate enough to write, and I wasn't able to string the thoughts together. There were so many thoughts in my head, and I couldn't get them to straighten out into a line. Do you understand what I mean?
I understand exactly what you mean. There were too many. It was like maybe your brain had decided to take on a life of its own, and whatever it didn't want to do, it just didn't do it.
And that's it exactly. That is it exactly. And it was short-circuiting with all this information. People call them plot bunnies and things. I was just having idea bunnies. It's just constant. I couldn't sleep and I couldn't relax. I still struggle with that somewhat, but I found that I can channel it better now. But during this period of time, I was unable to do that. I had gotten to where I was unable to work, and I saw the advertisement for NaNoWriMo, and I thought, well, what's it going to hurt? I'm only competing with myself. So I sat down and I started writing, and it just flowed. And I literally wrote the first draft in the 30 days, in less than 30 days. I think it was 23 days that I wrote the 60,000 words of my beginning story. And then became the rewrites.
Do you think, because not to the extent you do, my friend, but sometimes the brain, mine especially, because the voices just won't shut up, it gets so overloaded that it just absolutely says, I have had enough, I'm taking a break, and if you don't like it, it's just too bad.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to it. I struggle with insomnia, and like I said, shutting down. I have trouble shutting down at the end of the day. If I start a new project, I'm up for the next few days, working on it.
Gee, you sound like me. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the brain won't shut up.
It will not shut off, and I'll lay down, and then I'll sit there and think of what all I should be doing, so I just get back up. So.
I can relate, Vicki. Trust me, I can relate. I slept with, my mother said when I was a baby that I never slept. I don't know how my poor mother survived me because I was the oldest, and I never slept, and I still don't.
And I don't. But you learn to function around it. It's
called survival.
I get a lot done.
I'm 65 years old, and I do good if I sleep 2 hours a night.
I know. See, I know exactly. My poor dog paces and finally gives up on me about 2 o'clock in the morning. Goes and gets in his crate and just lays there beside the bed
and watches you.
Never
Lady,
mind.
would you just go to bed and cut out the light so I can go to sleep?
Exactly. He just throws his hands up in the air and goes and gets in his little bed.
But that is nothing at all to be ashamed of, because I have found, and believe it or not, Vicki, I have found that the most creative people, and this goes back into history, the Beethovens of the world, the Picassos of the world, the Mozarts of the world, Edgar Allan Poe, Einstein, all of us who are creative and are dreamers, we don't have time for that thing called sleep.
I know it is something that I just dread. I'm just like, what do you mean bedtime? Oh, I've got so much to do.
Why can't I just stay on up? But then when you crash, right?
Oh, I do. I'll crash for 2 days, and then I'll feel terrible, and then I'll go, oh man, I missed Outlawed so much, but I'll then play catch up for the next 5 days.
Yep. And sometimes I'll take a 20-minute power nap on the couch. And my body is so used to the power nap that in 20 minutes I'm wide awake. My eyes are going boing, 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 boing. My brain's going, hey, stupid. Hey, stupid. It's time to get up. I got things to do.
And then you wake up and then you have, like I have so many works in progress. And I have others that I want to get started, but I want to get a little farther on the ones I'm doing now. And then I fell in love with short stories. So I was able to work on an anthology because I was able to write a couple of short stories and fell in love with them and found that I really could wrap it up quickly, in a short story and get my point across in just, 15,000 words, or 1,500 words. And that's so nice to wrap it up.
I understand. Honey, you have my sympathy. Trust me. Because I have got folders with titles in them and drafts in them, and then I've got a storyboard with 3 books running simultaneously across that I'm researching and working on, and it all started with one stupid name. And this one stupid name morphed into 3 books.
Well, that's lovely. So that's a series.
It's insanity.
It kind of is. I'm working on a follow-up to The Path of the Child, and the way it's coming through is it's going to follow her. Melanie's the main character in the book, and it's not going to follow her exactly. It's going to follow the other characters that were introduced in the book, and then her story will also be on the sidelines. But I'm excited to be working on that. But that's really hard when you feel like you've told the whole story, and then you kind of go back with the same characters and rework it from a different angle, a little bit farther in time. But it's fun.
But the burning question is, have we ever really told the whole story? As writers, think about that. As character creators, have we ever really told the whole story?
Oh, absolutely. You see that in rewrites. When you do a rewrite, you realize there's so much more to be told. There's so much to the character than you brought to it in the beginning. And that's kind of what just made me decide to follow with another book, carrying these characters farther, because there are so many important things that I didn't really get to do more than touch on in the first book. The first book, I don't it's hard to say exactly how the first book could be categorized. It sort of comes across as young adult simply because the main character is a teenage girl. But it's so much more than that. It's truly, a story about growth and opportunities and change, but it fit best, I guess, under young adult.
And you know what it sounds like, my friend? It sounds like that it's part of your personal growth as you wandered through the wilderness of inability to function because your brain said, hey, I've had enough, watch this.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a catharsis. That book appears to be like it was a catharsis for you.
It really was. And, there's a whole lot. People say, is it autobiographical? But it's not. Is that a word? Autobiographical?
Yes, that is a word. Believe it or not.
Okay. Well, that's what I
if not, we'll make it a word.
I was trying to say an autobiography, but it's not. My mother loved me, and my mother let me do things after school and whatnot. But this child's mother did not. Her mother, the first chapter, lets you know exactly what kind of deficit she's in with a mother. Her mother doesn't care anything about her and has never attempted to convince her that she cares anything about her. But that's only the first chapter. And after you learn that sad beginning, it's a uplifting story from that point on.
So,
and that's what I hope people will continue past the first chapter to find out.
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
The Path of the Child, is that under Vicki Goodwin, or is that under your pen name?
It actually is under my pen name, Sojourner McConnell.
Why did you choose that as the pen name for your books?
Well, Sojourner is a traveler, and usually a traveler on a mission. And I was on a mission. I wanted to accomplish something. I wanted to accomplish this story. And McConnell was my grandmother's maiden name. And my grandmother was probably the first independent, strong woman that I ever met that was very much for women's rights and, was a very strong and strong-willed woman. And so I wanted to honor her with that name. And so I put the two together.
And it's a beautiful pen name. Because Sojourner is an old Southern name. It goes all the way back to Ireland.
Ah.
Yes.
Wow.
It goes that far back. It's an old name. And I was just interested because you don't see that name. And it does mean traveler. And to have put those two together, one to honor your grandmother and one to make a statement that you were on a journey, and it was a personal journey, and probably not a very pleasant personal journey, but you found your path and you traveled it.
That's right. And I used the girl in the story in a lot of ways to show that you don't have to settle with the cards you're dealt.
Yeah,
you can
go back to Paul and get a new deck.
That's right. You can shuffle the cards that you have, and you can make them look a little bit different. You can fold and grab some more cards.
And I am a true believer that we do not have to be a product of our environment.
Absolutely, we do not.
We make the choice to take that path.
That's right, we do. And I have a personal irritation with people that say, I can't help that I'm a child abuser. I was abused as a child. I can't help that I'm this because of that. I don't have a lot of sympathy for that because everyone can make the decisions as to how they carry on as an adult. I always tell my children to choose the things that you liked growing up and keep them close to your heart. And the things that you didn't like, don't pass along. Don't pass to your children. If you saw me say something that was hurtful, don't tell your children the same things just because I said it. Find the things that make life good. Choose those things. The things that are bad, toss out. And I
because
think if we keep doing that, generationally, we'll be all better.
And you're very right about that, because the things like child abuse and domestic abuse and alcoholism and drug addiction, all of those become generational. It's the environment plus the genetics, and if one lives in a home of, let's say, domestic abuse as a child, they get it in, because children are very impressionable, and they get it in their head by the time they're 7 years old that that's the way that people love each other live, and it isn't.
Right.
And it's hard to break that mold. But at some point, the mold has to be broken to stop the generations of abuse. And it will go on for generations. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, it will.
Oh, it will, absolutely.
There were two things.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
No, but you have to what?
At some point, you've seen how other people live. And you have to decide that you would rather have a life that is more like theirs than what you had. And you pull from that and you take it to yourself. Crafty people, they may have grown up with no crafts in the house, but they've seen other people do crafts. So they start doing crafts. It's the same with any other environmental thing that you have. You see other examples. You have to choose those for yourself. That's my personal opinion.
And one has to choose to change the behavior. A friend of mine said that when one does something, the first time it's a decision. The second time it's a pattern. The third time it's a habit.
Yeah. I think that's very true.
And then once you make that habit, it's much easier to continue with the habit than it is to break the habit, whatever the habit is. It could be anything.
Exactly, yeah.
Now I have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, before we get to your book again, because I like teasing the people, it keeps them. It's like the old Johnny Carson shows where he put his best guest on last, and people had to watch the whole. Because I don't. No, y'all cannot go look at the book right now. You got to stay right here and listen to the show. Because we have some interesting things. In my digging up of your background, which I do very well, there were two things that struck me. One is that you have a 6-year-old that helps with input.
A grandchild that I hang out with.
How does this 6-year-old help with the input of your books? I find that interesting.
Well, she actually did NaNoWriMo last November. She wrote 2 books. I did not fare so well, but she wrote 2 books and illustrated them both. So
wow.
One was 18 pages and one was about 12 pages. But we love to read together. And so she will help me do reviews on books. We'll read them together. And then she tells me, she used to tell me, now she writes it herself on the computer, what she thought of the book. So I always keep a little special space for her to add to a book that we've read together. But
what a beautiful thing.
We love it. We love it. And I've got plenty of grandchildren all over the country. So I have 13. And
that's how many I have.
Do you really?
I think.
Awesome.
No, I have 16. I think 13. 16.
Oh my goodness.
I can't remember. They're between 13 and 19. I can't remember. There's too many of them to count.
Well, I've told them all to quit. I've asked them all to quit so that we can stay at 13, because that way I can remember it. But I went to Michigan during Christmas and took several books for the children for their Christmas presents, and we read together and we wrote together. And so I just had a 6-year-old last night. Tori called me and said she had written a story, and she wanted to read it to me. And so she read me this really cute story about a princess who goes down a path and grows a garden with flowers. And it was a beautiful little story. So I think I love the fact that they like that I write, and they want to emulate that. I love it.
Well, and what is so beautiful, Vicki, about this, and we're back to that saying of generational. This is something good and wonderful and solid that will become generational.
Oh, yeah, I truly believe that my children are all serious readers. You know, they love to read, and, you know, 2 of them like to write, but they're not comfortable letting anyone see it. But I wasn't either when I was young, so maybe one day they'll back their ears and publish something.
Well, tell them this. I wasn't comfortable either because when I was in school, my teachers never thought it was good enough. So everything I wrote, I kept close to myself until I finally made up my mind one day. I really didn't give a rat's ass who liked it or not. I wrote because I loved it, and I had to get it out. And there was a very special book that I wrote. It was about my brother that's retarded. And I knew that when I died and my brothers and sister died, that there would be nobody to remember my brother. So I wrote the story, if for nothing else, in the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. Well, that was the first book I published at 54 years old.
That's wonderful.
So tell them, just keep writing, and when they make up their mind, it doesn't matter what the rest of the world thinks. They're going to put it out there because they can't help themselves. That's when they'll put it out there.
That's very true. That is very true. When I wrote this, I didn't think about publishing it. I just wanted to do Nano and see if I could write. It was another year and a half later before I found an editor, and then I think it was 2 years later that I finally published it. You know, so I did it at a slower pace because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. But you're exactly right. When it bites, it bites hard, and you want to get it out there.
Exactly. So they will. Just tell them, keep writing, don't stop writing, and when they are comfortable with the fact that it doesn't matter, because they have to put it out there because they can't not put it out there. The desire is so strong, it has to be put out there. That's when they'll put it out there.
You're right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Now, you were involved, and we're going to talk about this real quick before we get to your books. You were involved with the group. Tell our listening audience about this group, because I want to get some of I want to get this group on my show individually, because I want to expose them to the 9,000, almost 10,000 listeners we have, so they can get some of the glory too.
They would love it. I can assure you of that. The event I'm dealing with, it is a Facebook group, and it's a Goodreads group, and we have our own website. It's Mystery Thriller Week, and it actually takes place February 12th through the 22nd, and I know that's longer than a week, but we kept finding things that we wanted to do. And so it turned into an 11-day extravaganza. But it is celebrating mystery and thriller writers, authors, publishers, bloggers, and fans. And it brings them all together in these 11 days by posting reviews, interviews, question and answers with characters, hourly talks on Facebook where you can go and and virtually meet with the author, ask them questions that you have, and they'll be happy to answer them for you. And we have over 100 authors lined up just on the Facebook part. We have 230 authors lined up in the entire event.
And I think that I'm due on the 14th of February.
I think that's right. I think you are on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but I don't remember what time. And I don't even remember what I'm doing. So when we get off of here, will you go back and say, okay, stupid, this is what you're doing?
Yes, I've made you an event, and it's very pretty. And so it has a really pretty image on it, and I will send you that in a private message so that you can
so I'll know
see
what
it.
I'm doing.
And then you can pass it around. It's very shareable.
Very good.
This event is so exciting. I live and breathe this event.
Well, we need to get there when this thing passes and everybody takes a breath, because I'm taking slots for May and the rest of the year. I'm booked up through April and March, so I'm taking slots for May and the rest of the year. So I want these authors, these publishers, these graphic artists, whatever we've got going on in this event, I want them to contact me so I can set them up to do a show.
Oh, absolutely. I will promote you in this because it is such a great opportunity to get your work out to 9,000 people at one time. You know,
exactly.
It's not something that comes every day. You know,
and I bring you back. I keep bringing my guests back because this was another thing I learned from Johnny Carson, is he brought his guest back because you will get a following on this show. Oh,
that would be lovely. Yeah, that would be lovely because I really think if someone were to see my work, I think they would like it. I mean, it's a story with meat. You know, it's got a lot to it.
Exactly. Now, The Path of the Child was the first book, and it's under Sojourner McConnell. Ladies and gentlemen, it's late at night, and the last 2 nights, no sleep, so hence the mouth doesn't work. You know, brain takes its own thing going on. Vicki understands.
I do.
All right, now you also have 31 Days of October.
Now, it's an anthology of 22 writers and 22 writers and 33 stories of stories that are sort of Halloween-based. I wrote one that is like a child through Halloween, and it's just kind of whimsical. And then I wrote a ghost story for the second story in there. So, and that was fun. That was where I was able to really enjoy doing short stories. So
if the readers go on Amazon, they can pull up 31 Days of October, and it will take them to that anthology, or do they need to add the person that compiled it?
You can put in 31 Days of October, and across the bottom it shows the different authors that have been linked to it, and I'm linked there, and you can get to me there, or you can look for Sojourner McConnell, and the book is there as well.
Sweet.
It's linked to me on Amazon.
What about The Shepherds of Donaldson Park?
The Shepherds of Donaldson Park is with the editor, and it's my first offering as what I hope is a romantic comedy. I found it funny. It made me laugh when I wrote it. It's basically 2 dogs and a woman who meet a man and his dog at the dog park, and they take on getting to know each other while they train their dogs at Donaldson Park. And, you know, it's in the editing process, and I actually think I have to do a little rewrite on it because I know it's missing something in the middle. They're just too perfect.
Uh-oh. So there's no conflict? There has to be conflict. There has to be
conflict. It just wasn't enough. It just turned out not to be enough. So I have to bulk up the conflict a little bit.
So since you're definitely coming back, we need to launch that book on the show.
Oh, okay, absolutely. I would love to.
So keep me in the loop.
Editing and rewriting.
Yeah, get it through the edits and rewrites, and then let me know if it's going to be May, June, July, however long it takes, because you've got another one that is either out or is coming out, The Path to the Past.
I'm just starting with that one. I'm still in the writing phase on that one, so it's probably going to be toward the latter part of the year on that one, I would think. I'm not the fastest writer, rewriter.
But that's okay. Is that the one that is the, for lack of a better description, the sequel to The Path of the Child?
It is. It is. And you can kind of tell by the topic that they're going to look into the history of some people. So let me ask you this. If someone was waiting on The Path to the Past, they need to read the first book first to get the background in order to understand the second book. I think yes, I think so, because you want to know what Melanie's journey has been, so that you can grasp the intricate details of what they find in their search into the past. And all of these books are under Sojourner McConnell. That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now write the name down, because you will not find her books under Vicki Goodwin. She writes under Sojourner McConnell. And you want to get the Path of the Child first. I have read a bit of this book. I haven't read it all. I've read bits and pieces because I found bits and pieces on the Internet. And you want to get this book. I believe that it is a book that every child should read, because especially in this day and age where, you know, in years past, the family was a unit, and the family stayed together through thick and thin, good and bad, indifference. It didn't matter. But now there is so many factors in a child's life that sometimes that feeling of unity and solidifying and permanency is wiped away. There's a disconnect. There's a definite disconnect somewhere. Yeah. And this book should be in every school. Oh, thank you. That might be something for you to think about, to see if you can get these books in the local school libraries, because this book would give a child an insight into, like you say, we don't have to be defined by the things that happen in our life. The thing that I tell my children is this: what happened in your past was a defining moment in your life, but it does not define who you are. That's it, exactly. That's very, very, very true. And I think that a lot of children think, and a lot of adults think, that things that happen in their past, I am a survivor of domestic abuse, but that does not define who I am. It happened. I can't change it. I can't do anything about it, but it doesn't have to control my life. I have control over my life. Exactly. And we all do, and we all need to know that we do. So if I were you, just take the advice for what it's worth, maybe 2 cents, if that. I would go to the schools and the public libraries and see if you could get that book in there, because I think that our children, who is our future,
needs to understand that while the book is fiction, and this is something else I preach on my show, that we can learn life's lessons out of books, whether they're fiction or nonfiction or even a technical book. We can learn things if we open our minds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if children read this book, and even adults read this book, if they open their mind, they will learn that they're not defined by things that have happened to them. They're defined by the choices they choose to make.
That's right. And that's what I hope people get. I hope that they see it as an uplifting book, not a depressing or sad book, but an uplifting book, a book that shows hope.
And there is always hope. And until we die, there is always hope.
That's right.
And as long as there's hope, then there's reason to be able to change.
That's right. Exactly.
Or even acceptance. If we can't change it, at least we can accept it. But then we have to move on from it.
That's right. You're right. That's right. You just can't dwell and let it turn you in to an embittered, angry person. That's the easy thing to do, is to let it just turn you into an angry, bitter person.
To let it own you.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot go now. You have to wait till the show's over. The Path of the Child by Sojourner McConnell, because she's coming out with the second book, The Path to the Past. Say that fast 3 times. And it's coming out later on this year, and you want to read this first book before she puts the second one out, because you're going to see the path that was in the past of these children's lives and the different paths they chose to take. At least that's my take on it. Am I right in that assumption?
You are, yeah. I mean, she is 17, but she is a product of her environment up to a point, and then she decides to break those chains and walk out and find happiness, and she meets a young man in her school that takes the first step to becoming her friend, and the changes he brings out just by being a friend, just by showing her attention and listening to her, something she's never had before. And so, she's always lived vicariously through books herself. So when the class went on field trips, she simply sat in the office, waited for them to come back, and read. And that was her life. And so at 17, he makes changes. And they're really good changes for her. And they allow her to grow.
And she did not allow, as she grew, she learned not to allow the past to define her.
Exactly. She learned that there are broken people in the world that are going to cross your path. And you can't help that. There's broken people out there, and they're going to cross your path. You do not have to let them determine your misery, your happiness, or anything else. They just exist.
Would it be safe to say that on some level that we all are broken?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I think that's true. I mean, we all have. That's what I was telling my children. Find where I messed up in raising you, and don't do it. Find the things that I did wrong or did you feel were not healthy for you growing up, or your brothers and sisters. Find that thing and toss it out. Don't incorporate it into your own child rearing, because unfortunately I had my mother's bad choices that I had to deal with, and she had her mother's, and it just trickles down. And if you take out the bad, you have better.
And the sad part is, or maybe it's not a sad part, maybe it's a good thing. when we have children and we get ready to leave the hospital with them, we're not given a set of instructions, as I like to say, on the do's and the don'ts and the well maybes, because not every child is a cookie cutter. Not every child reacts in the same way, and not every parent is a cookie cutter, and not every situation is the same. And so it's a trial by fire.
It really is. And it's easy to go back to the things that you heard your parents say. You know, when I grew up, it was okay to say some things to your kids that when I was having children, I didn't think was appropriate to say to my children. I thought it was damaging, you know, to say, "Are you stupid?" You know, my mother seemed to think it was okay to say, "Are you stupid?" But when if I said it to my children, I felt like that would be detrimental to them. So I cut that out.
I used to ask my children when they would start whining, I would say, "Well, how old are you?" And they would tell me, and I'd say, let's say they said, "I'm 10." I'd say, "Well, do you want to live to see 11? If they really got on my nerves, I'd tell them, "I brought you in this world, I'll take you out."
Yeah.
Well, and of course, they laugh because Mother's funny. But
right, yeah.
My daughter said, "Mother, I have become you." I said, "That's a good thing. Just make it stick. Make them understand. You brought them in this world. You take them out. You won't make another one just like them."
Well, that's right. So, I mean, and you do. When you're talking and when you're irritated with your children, you do hear your mother saying things to you, and you repeat that.
Exactly.
Whether it's good, bad, or ugly.
You are not going to believe this, my friend. I told you the hour would fly by, did I not?
Yeah.
Well, we have about 6 minutes left.
Oh my goodness.
So what I want you to do is tell the folks where you can be found and the site for the event in February and where you can be found.
Okay. My book is at Amazon.com. It's simply under The Path of the Child, or Sojourner, Sojourner, McConnell. And it's also on Smashwords and Barnes & Noble for the paperback, and Nook. I believe it's in there under Nook, too, at barnesandnoble.com.
Can they find you on Facebook?
They can. I'm just under Vicki Turner Goodwin, and Sojourner has her own page, but mostly I play with her because she can't go into groups and things like that. So I tend to just mess around under Vicki Turner Goodwin. I do have an author page.
Now,
you can't join groups or anything.
Tell the folks where the event page is for the February event.
Okay, the February event is going to take place on www.mysterythrillerweek.com. It's all one word. And there's a Facebook for Mystery Thriller Week, and there's a Facebook group that is going to be very interactive during that time, and it's under Mystery Thriller Week Annual Event. So you can find us, but if you find me, you can say, "Where are these groups?" and I'll send you right there. Because that's all I do is work on this event. I haven't even written in a month.
I understand that. I do, and pretty soon the voices are gonna start pounding on the inside of your skull, going, "It's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn." Then you never will get any sleep.
They'll do it on my off night.
There you go. Now, the very last question that I like to ask my guests, because our entire universe is made up of dreamers. You know, dreamers are the reason we went to the moon. Dreamers are the reason we have electricity. Dreamers are the reason that we have cruise ships and writers and artists and musicians and all the beautiful things that we have because of dreamers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If someone comes to you and says, Vicki, I really have this dream, but, and there's always a but, and when somebody says, well, I have this desire to do something, but I want to kick them in their butt. What would you tell someone that came to you after everything you've been through and everything that you have done? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to just do it. If they love to write, write. Even if you just write a few words a day, write them. And they don't have to be building a book or building anything. Just write what's on your mind, what's in your heart, and put that down, and it'll grow. Every day you'll want to write more. If you find yourself like me, unable to focus on reading or writing, try something smaller. Look for something smaller, a smaller book, write a smaller, story, a poem, just words. Just do it smaller, and don't let yourself get, like me, sidetracked for 5 years where you can't do anything, because I miss those 5 years.
Yeah, you can't get them back.
I miss them. I can't get them back, and I miss them. And so if you're a dreamer and you have a dream, just push through it. Just do it small. Start small, because I promise you, the more you work on it, the more you'll want to work on it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all all know me, and y'all all know that I believe in dreams. I am a dreamer. My brother, who is challenged, he's a dreamer. And he was told that he would never be able to make his dreams real. My brother taught me everything about dreams. He taught me more than I would ever be able to teach him. So if my brother can make his dreams real, because he's tenacious and he's stubborn and he's Scotch-Irish and with a little German and English thrown in there, and when someone says, Stanley, you can't, he says, just watch. So if you have a dream and you have negative people in your life, number one, get rid of the negative people. There's
Absolutely.
no time for, we don't have, as dreamers, we don't have time for the negative. Number two, as Vicki says, just do it. Even if the words don't make a lick of sense on a piece of paper, it doesn't matter. Even if the picture that you're drawing doesn't make a lick of sense to anybody but you, just draw it. Even if that piece of music that you want to compose sounds like screech owls on a beautiful moonlit night, create it. Because it is a dream. And if you don't make your dreams real on your deathbed, when someone says, what regrets do you have, you will be that person. You will die with regrets, and once that happens, you don't get it back. Don't make your past your future either, because when you drag your past around, you don't go anywhere. So drop the past. Live for today and for tomorrow. Now, Wednesday night, my guest will be author Taylor Dawn, and this woman is hysterical. She's had knee surgery, and she's had her pet snake go to sleep in her hair, and this woman will just make you fall down. She is. If you haven't met Hooked Up with Taylor Dawn, you should, Vicki, because she is just fall down funny. Got a sense of humor that just, and she's an author, but she's absolutely hysterical. And that will be the only show that I have next week because I am going out of town. But we will be back the following Wednesday and continue on through the rest of the month. And ladies and gentlemen, you love each other, you love yourself, you make your dreams real, and understand that you are in control of your own destiny. And, Vicki, thank you so much, my friend, for an hour out of your day and spending it with me, because I have had a ball.
I have too. I was a little nervous, a lot nervous, and you made me feel very comfortable. So I hope that I didn't giggle too much because I do tend to giggle.
It doesn't matter. That's what we do on this show. That's why we call it Off the Chain, because we laugh, we cry, we joke, we argue, we debate. It doesn't matter. It's okay.
It's been great. It's been great. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to coming back when I have another book to share with you.
Keep me in the loop, my friend. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I sure will.
We will see you on Wednesday night. This is Yvonne Mason and remember, live long, live large, dream big. Until Wednesday night, we say good night. Okay, we are off the air, so anything we say now will go into archives. As soon as I get this up, as soon as it archives out, I will put it on my page and I'll tag you in it so that you can start posting it. Post it in your and the event thing if you want to, and say, look, this woman wants you on her show. Get in contact with her.
I sure will.
And let me know as soon as the Shepherds of Donaldson Park is through with editing so I can get you slotted back in, because then I'm going to turn around and slot you in for the Path to the Past.
Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much.
Oh, honey, I'm telling you, you're coming back. We have too much fun.
You're right. I do want to do it again. I certainly do.
I mean,
I
this
really
isn't
have
a
enjoyed it.
This is not a one-time shot. If you thought it was a one-time shot, you are sorely mistaken.
No,
not the way this show rolls. We bring people back till they get sick of us and say, Vaughn, don't call me again. I'm not coming back.
I actually am about to start your Mad Hatter. That's one of my last ones I'm doing for review for MTW.
Oh, you will love it. I'm telling you. Just
yeah, you sent it to me out, so I have it. I have to finish this book I'm on, and then I'm starting it. So I'm excited to read it.
Well, it was an interesting book because the Mad Hatter. When I was in college, now this is how far back part of my research goes for that book.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college and I was getting my degree in criminal justice, I had to do a paper on a serial killer for my criminal justice professor. Now, all the other kids in the class who were all younger than me did a paper on Jeffrey Dahmer, on John Wayne Gacy, on all of the current serial killers. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not me. I had to go all the way back to England in 1888. And guess who was Jack the Ripper?
Oh, gosh.
So when I turned in,
Jack the Ripper?
Well, he's kind of in there, but it's not about him.
Oh, okay.
But he's, when you read it, you will understand why it'll all fall into place. Because if I tell you anything else, it's just going to spoil it for you, and I don't want to spoil it. But anyway, when I turned in the paper, my professor looked at me and he said, "I knew you were going to do it on Jack the Ripper. I just knew it." I made an A on the paper, and I had saved. Now, I've been out of school since 2006. I saved all of my research, because I always save my research. Saved all of my research, and it haunted me for years. And then, all of a sudden, one day, because I have a Mad Hatter's hat, because I love Alice in Wonderland, and the Mad Hatter is my favorite character. And then one day, this voice said, "I am the Mad Hatter, and this is why I am the Mad Hatter. Now get to work."
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I ordered a map from the UK of the east side of England, Whitechapel, Spitalfields, that area in the year 1888, and I plotted my story on that map.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So
I'm
when
so
you
excited to read it.
when you read that, there was a hat factory on the east side of London, but it was later. It wasn't in 1888, but I set that hat factory in 1888.
Oh, okay.
And it sits on the Thames River. But you're going to have so much historical stuff in that book that you will feel that you are in the East End of London.
Oh, gosh. I am so looking forward to it. I think I'll start it tonight.
I bought books on clothing. I bought books on what food was eaten. I bought books on how the houses were set up with the parlors and what furniture was there, on how the women dressed, what they wore. And it took me 4 years to do that book.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love that kind of detail though. I love it when you write and you can feel what your surroundings are.
Well, you will be in the East End of London in Whitechapel when you read that book.
That's awesome because I've always been fascinated by Jack the Ripper.
He was an interesting character. I have autopsy reports. I have photographs. I have all of the research that could be found on his victim.
Oh, wow.
And I had a storyboard, and I plotted that story on my storyboard and on that map, and I still have that map. In fact, I am using that same map in this trilogy because of Lily Rose, because the second book is going to be set in that same area in that same year with a different female character, because Lily Rose decided she wanted to be in Scotland in 1888. So now I'm doing research on Scotland. The characters are killing me.
I know. I had a whole family movie in on my book I didn't even expect. I had to move everybody over and make room for all these people. Where did this person come from?
Well, it wasn't enough that these two characters. Well, see, I had started in a journal. I had started a story, and my character's name was Lily Rose. Well, I misplaced the journal, so I started. Lily Rose kept telling me she wanted me to write about her, so I started drafting her in the folder on my computer. Well, the journal popped back up, and when I started reading it, Lily Rose says, no, I'm not going to England. I'm going to stay right here in Scotland, and you're going to change the name of the person the female that's in this book to a Victorian name, and she and I are going to hook up. And the third book is going to be called A Night of Revenge. I went, where did that come from? Really?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're driving me crazy.
I love it.
And I said, and when am I supposed to do a trilogy? I'd do good to get one book finished. Oh, no. You will finish these books, and this is how you're going to write them. I said, well, all right then. So now we're dealing with...
As long as they're holding your hand.
Oh, they won't shut up. They both are fighting for equal time.
Oh, no.
So now we're dealing with... Now, you want to hear an even funnier part? I start the research on Scotland, right? Well, Lily Rose says, you have to include Macbeth. I don't care about... She said, no, you have to include Macbeth because he will be one of my ancestors. How in the hell is he going to be one of your ancestors? Just don't worry about it because he's going to hook up with the three witches in Shakespeare's story. So I had to go back and read Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Oh, that's awful.
This woman better leave me alone.
You'll love her in the end.
And the second character, her name is Adela Victoria. Now, I am doing something with Adela Victoria that's never been done before because she and Lily Rose have said, yes, this is where I'm going, so you just might as well get over it. She is half witch and half vamp.
She is what?
Half witch and half vampire.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, really? I said, people are going to kill me. No, it'll be fine.
Oh, that's something right there.
So when I put up that cryptic thing on my Facebook page, and I said, y'all are not going to believe what is going on inside. It's as scary place as it is, but now it's really bizarre. And these two women are related through a common ancestor. Yeah, they've already told me all this. They're related through a common ancestor. Don't know who yet, but they're related. They're related through their fathers, through a common ancestor, and the fathers are not in the picture anymore. They've disappeared. I don't know where they went yet. They're not telling me. But they're eventually going to hook up in Edinburgh for a night of revenge on who I have no clue. But that's the third book, A Night of Revenge. Now, why? I don't know.
You've got a little bit of time for them to start sharing that bit. Oh, thank you.
But they got to wait till I get their stories written.
That's true. It is funny, isn't it? It is funny how they do.
It gets so crowded in my head. So I understand when you said that you went into overload. I understand that.
Yeah, it was just too much.
We all suffer from it as artists. Trust me. So next time you feel like that you're going to go into overload, just come in and say, Yvonne, I'm going to say just push through it, but let the characters out. They'll be all right.
That's what it took.
It'll be all right. Just push on through it. Oh, exactly. Man. So let me know, my sweet friend. And all of our conversation is going to show up in the archive show. So the people that listen to the archive show, if they go back and listen, they're going to hear all this, and they're going, these two women have lost their minds. Yes, I have lost my mind, because all the best people have. But that
right off the bat.
It's sort of like the outtakes of a movie. You wait till the credits roll, and then you see all the outtakes. It's sort of like the after party. So when people listen to archives, they get this little extra ditty going on, and that the people on the live show don't get to hear unless they go to the archives. So when you post it, say, listen, you want to listen all the way through the archive. You want to listen all the way till they hang up the phone. You'll miss something if you don't.
That's right. I will. I sure will.
So let me know. Keep me in the loop about the second book and the third book so I can get you on the books.
Okay.
Let the folks know to get in contact with me so I can get them on the books, and we'll just keep this thing rolling.
Okay. I'm going to add you to the author perks.
Okay.
Okay.
That works too.
Okay, good. I'll do that. And that way they can see it and have your link and everything.
Whatever you want to do, my friend.
Okay, I'll do it.
Because, see, we didn't even talk about Catch. We didn't even talk about Catch Can, and I wanted to talk because I love Catch. We missed that one, but we'll get that next time around. That's the beauty of coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't get to talk about making a cake of ourselves either.
No, we didn't. So, see, we'll save that for next time. Y'all will just have to wait, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to wait until the next show. Leave them guessing. So, my friend, I will let you go, and I will get this link to you just as soon as it gets itself up and archived. In the morning, I'll upload to all the different podcasts, and I'll tag you in it, and then you just take it and run with it like you stole it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, darling. Talk to you later.
It was great talking to you. Okay. Bye-bye.
It was fun. It was fun.
It was. Thank you.
All right, honey. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Welcome to Metro PCS.
Hi, I heard you're giving free phones to everybody?
Yes, right now, everybody gets a free phone. You and your friends, cousins, neighbors, roommates.
What if I'm already with Metro PCS?
Yeah, it's for existing customers, new customers, people named Willie, dog lovers.
That's awesome.
Everyone gets a free phone at Metro PCS. Come choose your select free phone from brands like Samsung and LG. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out. Sales tax not included. Phones free after instant and mail-in rebates. Upgrade fee may apply. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Welcome to Metro PCS.
Hi, I heard you're giving free phones to everybody?
Yes, right now, everybody gets a free phone. You and your friends, cousins, neighbors, roommates.
What if I'm already with Metro PCS?
Yeah, it's for existing customers, new customers, people named Willie, dog lovers.
That's awesome.
Everyone gets a free phone at Metro PCS. Come choose your select free phone from brands like Samsung and LG. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out. Sales tax not included. Phones free after instant and mail-in rebates. Upgrade fee may apply. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.